Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you to another in the series, In the Light of Islam. Dear viewers, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on all of you. And in this segment, I'd like to welcome you to listen to certain questions which have been asked with regards to the practice of ablution, preparing oneself for prayer. There are certain principles regarding women, concessions which are given to them. We'll be looking at these. Also, we'll be looking at what people should do if they're involved in jobs which are not acceptable Islamically. You know, how should they handle their situations? As well as looking at some questions with regards to our righteous deeds and what happens when people praise us for these deeds, whether this affects the value of the deeds, etc. So, without any further ado, dear viewers, we'll go into look at some of the direct questions. Now, there is a question which has come in, and occasionally questions like these do come, which are not really suitable for airing on the program. As such, I would like to ask those who write in to put their phone numbers or their mailing addresses so that an answer can either be written back to them or can be called into them. So, as an example of that, Sister Shazia Jafar Abdurrahman was written in a question. You didn't add your address or telephone, so please write in your address and telephone, and your answer can be given to you because the question that you've asked, as it is stated, is not really suitable for airing on the program. Following that, now we'll go to a question from Asif Osman from Sharjah, who writes, Dear Dr. Phillips, Assalamu alaikum. Could you please answer the following questions? If my job is involving prohibited acts, what should I do? Can Muslims eat at the homes of those who earn their living by haram means? Thank you, sir. Asif Usman. Brother Asif, first, we are not permitted Islamically to be working in jobs where we know that the commandments of God are being broken deliberately by the job itself. There may be, in a given job that the person may work on, there may be individuals within the job who may be disobedient to God, may be doing things which are prohibited, and that's on them as individuals. But now, if the job itself is haram, if it is a forbidden activity, then one should not take work there. I mean, for example, a brewery where alcohol is being produced. To work in such a location is not acceptable Islamically, regardless of what your job may be. Because, of course, one may say, well, you know, I am only an accountant at the firm. I'm not involved in the production of alcohol. I'm only an accountant. Or I'm only a security guard. You know, I'm not involved in the activities going on inside. However, Allah says in the Quran, تعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان, that we should cooperate with each other in bir, righteousness, and taqwa. This is piety. We cooperate with each other in such activities where righteousness is there and piety is there. Fear of God is involved in the work or relations that we are engaging in. وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, we should not cooperate in things which involve ithm, which is sin, and udwan, and enmity, where it creates animosities amongst people, you know, turning people against other people. We are forbidden from cooperating in such activities. So when a person works in a firm, which is fundamentally a firm involved in sin, regardless of the job that one does in that firm, one is cooperating in sin. And as such, we should not remain in such an operation. We should leave. We should seek to find another job and work elsewhere. Well, of course, I understand a person may be looking after family, their children, etc. involved, and to just quit one's job in a minute, it may create major financial problems for the individual. So, having understood this, it is required of the individual to seek other work. And if one sincerely seeks other work, then God will help that person to find. Because Allah says in the Quran, "In tansurullah yansurkum." If you support the religion of Allah by making your life in conformity to that religion and submitting yourself to the will of God, then Allah will help you. And if you seek to help yourself by way of the religion, finding another option for yourself, Allah will help you. So you have to enter into that search with a real commitment to God, and you will find an opening for yourself. You should remove yourself from such a job as soon as possible. Now, the second part of the question, can Muslims eat at the homes of those who earn their living by haram means? If a person earns their living by haram, and the food that they buy is being bought with haram money or sinful money, then that food itself becomes sinful. And as such, a Muslim should avoid eating in the homes of those who they know are earning their living for the most part through haram means. This is a general principle in Islam. However, if one sees an opportunity to give da'wah or invite that person to change, then one may go and eat with the person to develop a friendship with them, to try to help them to give up whatever practices they're doing, because it may be difficult to do it at a distance. Without creating a relationship or maintaining a relationship with them, it's difficult to advise them. So one may go with that intention. But just to go and to say, well, this is my friend, I want to eat with my friends, so Islamically, this is not acceptable, because we will then be putting into our systems that which is haram. And Allah, through His Prophet, has informed us, about an individual. He gave an example of an individual whose prayers are not accepted. He is one who, out on the desert, he raises his hands to God, asking God to help him to do this and to do that. Yet, what he eats is haram. What he's wearing is haram. How then can Allah accept his prayers? So, one of the reasons for the non-acceptance of prayers is to be involved in clothing and eating and living in haram circumstances. Another question from Sharjah also. Dear Dr. Bilal, Assalamu alaikum. Is it prohibited for a Muslim to have a dog? If the dog touches you, does it break wudu? Must we wash 7 times? Thank you for your explanation. Yours sincerely, Farida Abdulaziz. Sister Farida, having a dog in Islam in general is something discouraged. It's discouraged. The Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, had said that the angels of mercy do not enter homes in which there are pictures and dogs. This is something which, as I said, is discouraged. Further, he said, one who keeps a dog in the home, that every day their good deeds are decreased by a large amount. He mentioned an amount which Allah knows what exactly is intended, but it is representative of a huge amount of good taken away on a daily basis, as long as a dog is in the home. So, as a general principle in Islam, we are encouraged not to keep dogs. And these are dogs that are kept for friendship. You're keeping a dog to replace your family, where people have these relationships with dogs, especially people from the West, wherein the dog becomes, like your child. They're kissing the dogs are sleeping in the beds with them, they're eating at their tables. The dog becomes a member of the family. The dog is man's best friend. This kind of attitude. Keeping the animal in this way in Islam is not acceptable. However, there are useful purposes for the dogs, and one who keeps those dogs for useful purposes, which have been defined by Islamic law, it is permissible. A dog which is a sheepdog, for example, a dog which herds cattle for you. Such a dog, it is permissible to keep that dog. Similarly, a hunting dog, a dog who, when you go hunting, brings the animal that you kill, whatever, back, etc., or points out the animal, a hunting dog is permissible. And also a guard dog, a watchdog, which will guard and protect your property, etc., such a dog is also permissible. So these kinds of dogs, you are allowed to keep them, but you don't keep them in your home. You have a kennel, or you have a dog house, whatever, outside your home, wherein they stay. You feed them, look after them properly. Of course, Islam does not, because of the fact that we have this position relative to dogs, we don't keep them in our homes. It doesn't mean that we then maltreat the dogs. That is, we stone them or hit them or, are evil to them, kill them and so on. So no, this is not our attitude Islamically. Except for stray dogs which can create disease, etc., we may remove them, by killing them, but not in an unmerciful fashion. They're taken and, put to sleep in a proper and acceptable fashion to rid the society of stray dogs, which, from Islamic perspective, are considered to have certain harm that they may cause to individuals. And because of that, the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, had said that if a dog eats or drinks from the vessel which we are eating, we should pour it out for him to finish eating it, pour it into his vessel or whatever, let him finish eating it elsewhere. Then we should wash that vessel 7 times. One of the times we should use clean earth to clean the vessel. Of course, a person may question, well, why clean earth? Why use earth to clean the vessel? Of course, we know that earth contains many biological organisms which are very effective in cleaning vessels. And this is why any of us who have gone camping, etc., we know that, for breaking grease, helping to clean vessels, using of clean earth is very, very effective. Furthermore, the pharmaceutical companies have affirmed for us that over 75% of the modern day antibiotics, etc., do come from the earth. So, as an Islamic principle, if the animal, the dog, eats from the vessel or drinks from the vessel which we're eating or drinking, then it should be washed 7 times. One of those times we should use clean earth. So this is how we purify a vessel from which we're eating or drinking. However, the question, if a dog touches you, if it passes by you and brushes against you or licks your hand, whatever, if you are in a state of ablution, does this break your state of ablution? No, it does not. Because the things which break your state of ablution are known and specified by Islamic law. This is not one of them. So we cannot speculate and make up our opinions with this regard. What breaks the state of wudu have been defined by Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, directly. And anything outside of that does not break the state of wudu.